Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge, please.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we all start with roll call? Oh, I didn't see Susan.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Resolved that the Board of Education approve the agenda for the April 10th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Connie first. Second, Jeff. All in favor? Opposed? Passes 9-0. Next up on the agenda, we have the Board of Education Spotlight. So Dr. Davis will take over this section of the board meeting.
I'd like to thank all the parents and students for being here tonight. And since we have such a wonderful showing, I'm going to read through all the awards first for girls and boys indoor track, and then ask for Dr. DeBarbary to come forward and help me with the certificates. Oops, I'm sorry. Can everybody hear me now? Thank you. I'm used to shouting. So at this point, these are winter athletes that went to state competitions, so we're very excited. This is really a great celebration tonight. Our girls and boys indoor track at states, which were held on Saturday, March 4th at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex. Sydney McKenna completed a pole vault placed in 11th in New York State at 10.6. Solon Holden Betts won the Sportsmanship Award for Section 3. Solomon Holden Betts placed second in federations and second in the New York State in the 1600 meter with a time of 4:15:14. The 4x400 relay team of Logan Hayes, Brandon Levine, Caleb Paul, Jack McAllister, and alternate Zach Aria and Kyle Schalkner placed fifth in federations and fourth in New York State with a time of 3:26:02. The 4x800 relay team of Jeff Raganese, Brian Wilson, Noah Convert, and Noah, I'm going to publicly apologize. Your name was just given to me today, so you will get a certificate first thing in the morning. That's my top job, so I apologize. And Solomon Holden Betts placed 10th overall with a time of 8:09:81. Jack McAllister placed 15th overall in New York State in the 600 meter run with a time of 1:24:24. Logan Hayes placed 20th overall in New York State in the 300 meter with a time of 36:04. Kyle Scheffler placed 21st overall at states in the pole vault at 11:06. So at this time, Dr. DeBarbary, are you going to call the students up individually or have a lineup?
We'll do a group photo. So we're going to have you line up. We'll get a group shot of everybody here.
Okay. All right.
Chris, you can get in the picture.
Go sit it.
Oh yeah, can you put them out? Yes. And take yeah.
They're out. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Congratulations.
Now, I do apologize for any mispronunciation of names. Boys swimming at States, which was held on March 3rd and 4th at Ithaca College, Coach Ladden is here tonight. Mikey White Jr. took 21st place in the New York State overall in the 100 free with time of 47.67. The 200 free relay team of Mikey White Jr., Ben Webster, Matt Lang, and Alex Nikita finished 20th place overall with a time of 1:30:34. The 400 relay team of Mikey White Jr., Ben Webster, Lucas Clay, Matt Lang placed 22nd overall in the state swim meet with a time of 3:19:51. Congratulations.
Is that me?
No.
Ready?
Okay, we have wrestling, and we have Keegan Hayes. 4 years varsity wrestling, 2 years varsity soccer, 2 years varsity outdoor track, 99 GPA, National Honor Society member, attended Boys State Summer 2022, volunteered as a unified bowling partner with the special needs athletes, wrestling 30 wins, that's a milestone this season, and only one on the team this year who achieved this. Wrestling 20 pins this season. Wrestling 3rd place in sectionals at 138 weight class. Beat the wrestler who we lost to the weekend before, classes for 3rd. Wrestling 2nd place in class AA Division I. Wrestling team most outstanding wrestler. He attended Cornell University in the fall, considering wrestling there. Also, he received the High School All-American Award from the National Wrestling Association and the United States Marine Corps. So congratulations.
Congratulations to everyone. Nice job representing Beeville this winter season. So this is the part of the meeting we say we are welcome to stay, but we see people knowing that they don't want to be here and leaving already, and that is more than fine. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you, Mom.
Moving on to the next part of the agenda is the correspondence, board activities, and committee reports. And on Thursday, March 23rd, there's a technology committee meeting. Does anyone have anything they would like to report out on that?
Okay.
We're going to skip ahead until Mr. Yeager has his notes. On March 27th, we had a special Board of Education meeting. We went right into executive session for the purpose of negotiations. And then on Monday, October 10th, we had a Board of Education work session. Oh, that's tonight. It wasn't a work session, it was a retreat. I was confused, like, wait a minute, did I miss something? We had a retreat to talk to Dr. Davis about working on some priorities while she has the rest of her time with us. So we have ourselves in a great position to spring forward for our students in this upcoming school year. And back to Matt if he has his notes. Okay. So back to the technology committee meeting.
So there's a few areas of technology that we do. Obviously, we have the equipment that we maintain. And then we also have like the training and software and all the management of all those kinds of things. So, you know, it's kind of a multi-pronged approach. So we reviewed a lot of the current upgrades and where we are equipment-wise. The next big thing coming is another upgrade of our access points. And so, and then we reviewed some of the upgrades in in actual spaces. So places like the Baker large group room, breakouts for music, theater upgrades, library upgrades, several of the buildings, they're all-purpose rooms have been upgraded with more modular furniture, so it's not your traditional lines and rows, so this can be moved around and just creating a better environment for collaboration in that. The data protection role, we talked a lot about that. RJ is looking for better ways to provide the experience, the user experience, and some of the training we do in terms of data protection and the user's responsibility for that. The systems and firewalls and all those kinds of things can only do so much if somebody clicks on the wrong link. So, so a lot of work there that the folks are doing. They just completed an internal audit, and it was very thorough. Did really well on it. Continue to work on standardization of procedures. There's still funds remaining on the leases, so RJ is going to work on where that's going is more Chromebooks and the Chrome tablets. If you remember, RJ was here not too long ago and demonstrated or showed one of the Chrome tablets. So we're moving away from iPads into the Chrome tablets. That'll just maintain some continuity of the user experience as kids move from K2 up into 3.5 and beyond. Let's see. Challenges, high volumes of devices, so inventory, damage, and repair. Those are always an issue when you deal with that many units. Training. Eric Ziegler does a lot on the training side with staff. He's one of our learning coaches. So account management, troubleshooting takes a lot of time, but just Google Workspace is continuing to evolve, Google Classroom continuing to evolve. They keep adding new features, so that keeps them busy with continuing the training of that, as well as the third-party integration with Google Classroom. I guess that kind of covers it. Aristotle, let's see what else I had in my notes. Let's see. Single sign-on for the elementaries, that's really useful with kids. They can just scan a QR code and it logs them in, so they just wear the badge that allows them to do that. It keeps them from having to remember the 14,000 passwords that we need. The clear touch boards, those are going well, continuing, we've got those all upgraded. And then I mentioned access points is changing out those is the next big thing that we're looking at. Security tools and network monitoring continues. I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, Wayne?
No, you pretty much had everything I had. The only thing I had was, I think it was, is it Eric? Was mentioning transitioning from instructional technology to AI technology. That's something that they're trying to prepare for in the future based upon how technology is changing and that kind of thing. But everything else, I think you touched that.
Yeah, you talked about the ChatGPT and just the AI being like a wild west out there. So trying to maintain some oversight of that, especially with the PII. I guess that's thorough enough.
That's a lot. Thank you, Matt. Does anyone else have anything else that they attended since the last board meeting that they'd like to share with everyone? I'll say that I got to attend the first track meet in the season. It was the first time I've been to a track meet in a while. And I was driving my son up to catch the bus, and I have to say it's pretty impressive. There were 4 school buses, which is showing a lot of incredible participation, especially because I know some families were wait or break, so I'm not sure if that's normal to have 4 or they have more, but very, very impressive. There was no team scoring. It's the first meet of the season, kind of see what the kids could do, where there's some of their strengths are to help the overall team. But there's some amazing performances, which is very exciting. And just see the just massive number of the kids involved in something and to keep them connected to school, which was really nice.
Just a quick shout out to the Winter Guard for their great showing at the championships at ESM. Although I was not in attendance, I was in spirit because I had a business trip. However, once again, to the exceptional staff that just continues to cultivate young and more seasoned Winter Guarders. So congratulations to all of them, and also I believe the drill team, the drum line also. You take it. No, you take it.
I was gonna wait for you to
So
finish.
congratulations, it was awesome.
But yeah, the indoor drum line, I think they came in first place as well, so congratulations to them.
I just wanted to make mention that there are German students here that are, Jeff, you might, I think you're posting one. I just spoke of my daughter is shadowing, one of the students is shadowing my daughter this week, and she just bubbly all afternoon when she got home from school about it. So, and hearing what they did last week with the families who are hosting, so what a great opportunity for our community to be able to host students from Germany and be exposed to the culture.
And so far, it's been a great experience with the students. We've been on some trips, went to Niagara on Saturday, and things like that. So it's been a busy week, and I haven't got the report about how the first day of school went today, but son did text me, and it sounds like things went really well. So really excited to hear about it. But, they are talking about trying to find a way in the next year or two to do the exchange the other way, and have our students go to Germany and experience the same thing. So that's exciting.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to the next part of the agenda is the student board report, and Azan is not here this evening, and he did not send me anything, so I'm sure next meeting he'll have even more things to share with us. It'll be a long segment, but it's always good to hear. So next up is public participation. Kim, do we have any speakers tonight?
Yes, we do.
How many do we have?
Just one.
Okay, thank you. Public comments are welcome. They're limited to 3 minutes per speaker for a total of up to 30 minutes for all speakers combined. They should not include specific individuals or positions. Unless appropriate, the Board of Education will respond by letter to the individual's comment or question. Board members will not engage in conversation or comments during this period. Specific employee or student concerns should be communicated to the superintendent of schools during regular business hours. If there are more than 5 individuals speaking on the same issue, please limit the topic to just 5 minutes of your 5 speakers of your choice as a group. We are all here for our students, and it is expected that everyone speaking tonight will follow these rules, and everyone present will model the behaviors that are expected of the students in this school district.
Our one speaker is Paul DeFelice. I apologize if I did not say your name correctly.
That's right. That's right, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I live on East Oneida Street and have been there for 38 years, and I'm particularly concerned about the proposed new road that would go behind my house, between my house and Baker High School, as part of the capital improvement program. I'm curious to know, why did it become an issue? 38 years in a row, we didn't have the road, and now it becomes an issue. So that's one thing. Second, I didn't know if people in the neighborhood complained or if people from outside the neighborhood complained. Neighborhood, I'm talking about Mechanic Street, Elmer Palmer, Virginia Street, Oneida Street, Oswego Street, Were they the impetus to try to get a road, or was it from people outside the community, outside the immediate school community? My guess is it was not from the village people, that rather it was from people outside and bringing their children into school, although a bus is provided to them. I understand there's a traffic study as part of this, and can myself and neighbors get a chance to review that? Can we see the traffic study? Can we see who they did contact? Did they contact people on East Oneida Street, Virginia, Mechanic Street, Oswego? Did they ask for our comments and ideas? I don't know who they did talk to. I listened to the acting superintendent, and she mentioned that there was community involvement, and I don't know if there was any community involvement that really counts in this particular part of the capital improvement program. I want to tell you that I have voted in favor of every capital improvement program and every school budget for 38 years. But I have paused for this one, okay? I don't know what the road would it cost. Is there any way to find out how much the road costs? I know that the capital improvement project is $63 million. What does the road cost? Finally, part of the road was the addition of 2 large parking lots, one towards East Oneida Street and the other towards Durkee. On March 27th and March 30th, my wife and I embarked on a tour of the campus and found over 230 parking spots. 230 parking spots, and the proposal looked like there'd be another 200 added. Is there a reason for that? Are we trying to encourage driving? I appreciate you listening to me. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to speak with us tonight. Dr. Davis will follow up and answer all the questions that you posed tonight.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda is the item 7, resolve that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda pursuant to the attached. Can I have a motion, please? Shelley first. Second, Wayne. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Next up on the agenda is the report section, and we're going to begin with the leadership report, so Dr. Davis will take this section.
So on April 24th, we will be doing a public hearing, sorry, I'm doing it again. On April 24th, we will be doing a short public hearing before the regular scheduled board meeting, and it will be regarding the Smart Schools Bond Act. During that time, we'll be going over the contents of the proposal, and then we will be voting on a final resolution by the board, and then we can then move forward with a letter of intent, as well as submitting our project to the State Education Department. We have to wait and see the scope of the project to see if it's approved by the state. One of the items that through thought exchange and through our committee has supported weapons detection devices. We wanted to bring a sample tonight in so that you can see what one looks like. That's what's on the center of the floor. Because I know in our minds we go to Disney, we see these huge devices. These are simply 2 poles that students would walk through, and that they're set at a certain setting and would go off if there was some object that shouldn't be coming through the door, and we would need to do a bag check. So I'll do a demo. Do you want me to use my first? So, and we don't have all the information yet. What we're looking for tonight is any questions that you may have. There's procedures and protocols that would have to be put in place, parent notification. This is just one sample unit that we would like to pilot. We're not ready to pilot it yet until we are a little more organized. So right now we need to simply just see what it does, and then we can go from there. This one is set, it's very sensitive right now. So there's nothing dangerous in my purse, I promise. However, it will pick up any metal object. So I do have a lot of keys in my purse, so students would come into school, they would simply, got their backpack, walk through. Is it going up?
It is, it turned.
Turn it on.
It's a volume.
Oh, she turned the sound off, so it wouldn't annoy people. So that would alert the staff at the door that there needs to be a bag check. Then that student would be routed over to a table, and then the book bag would have to be checked for any devices or things that shouldn't be in a school setting. So it's as simple as that. Students would just continue to walk through. You need more than one device. You need at least 3 to 4, especially at the high school, middle school, and junior high. So, and you would have to have staff trained and manned at each device so that we could keep the lines moving. This is just another layer of safety. As you know, oops, even when I'm not near it, it's moving. Oh, okay. So it just gives you an idea. We can set the setting as sensitive as we need to, or we can make it less sensitive so it's not picking up every single pen in my purse. But I do have a lot of keys in my purse, so it does trigger it for going off. Are there any questions? Yes.
So essentially this is a metal detector, correct?
Yes,
But it's just a scaled down version.
correct.
Okay, so wondering how much does a device like that cost?
Kim?
So we actually have 2 that we hope to have because we couldn't get a demo of the other one. So we ordered one that's more expensive that we can bring to demo as well. This one was about $6,500, I want to say. It was much more reasonably priced. We haven't messed with any or configured it at all, to Dr. Davis's point, for the sensitivity. It does have to sit and it has to kind of settle in its environment, which is why when Dr. DeBarbary moved his mic, it picked up on it. So if I was standing there, or if you had someone standing there, if I stood next to it with my cell phone for a long period of time, it got used to me being there and I wasn't moving. So it knew I was okay, and it didn't pick anything up. So the nice thing about that is if you think about how our doors swing in our entrances, once the doors are open and set, and it gets to acclimate, there is actually a digital display over here that it goes from 0 and increases sensitivity. So it gets to a certain sensitivity, as Dr. Davis was saying, before it will alarm, so to speak, and we can actually adjust those settings to figure out what the rate sensitivity is. But obviously Chromebooks, and maybe all of that, those kind of things would set it off, to Dr. Davis's point, with the keys. So it would be programming it.
I appreciate that. My next question has to do with, I mean, is the goal to install this in every school building over a certain period of time, and what's that timeline?
So we would have to wait until the state approved our Smart Schools Bond Act plan. If they approve it and we have a certain dollar amount set aside, once they approve it, we can purchase them. We would have to work on training, we would have to work on protocols, do parent notification so everybody knows how it works. So, I mean, at best, you're probably looking at, to be realistic, probably around December. Only because by the time this gets board approved and the Smart Schools plan gets board approved and then we do the submission to the state, I'm hearing that they're 4 to 6 months backed up. That's the problem. It's not that, they have a lot of other plans ahead of ours. But this would be state money. This would not be general fund money. And so there would be no cost to the taxpayers. I know that there's a big concern. Our survey results, was it, Joe, 58%?
58% of those that participate in the thought exchange identify threat detection systems like this as being a priority for purchase of the options that were listed.
So my wondering is then, I mean, 58% is not overwhelmingly an endorsement of the use of that. My wondering is perhaps a follow-up with some focus groups with those who don't want it, who didn't see it as priority. I'm just thinking about perception, right? Because you can package it any way. It's a metal detector. Not to say I'm against safety and building those type of layers to protect children. I'm just wondering about perception and just getting further clarity from the community about their thoughts about this. I think the bond exchange is that first layer of sort of insight about what the community is thinking. Just wondering further input from the community, especially from those who didn't say this was a priority. Because there's cost, and even though, to your point, Dr. Davis, it's coming from the bond, from the state, just wanted to make sure we're mindful of that, that's all.
And the other, it's a good point, through our PTOs, it might be good to do a demo with our PTOs to get their input and hear their concerns. They have pretty well-functioning groups, large amounts of people do attend their meetings. And maybe even having it out for those that may want to, if we demo it at one building so parents can see it in the morning if they want to come in and take a look. It's a little less intimidating, maybe even a little live video that goes out so people can see not only adults going through, but maybe some students going through and how that looks. Because when you say threat detection system, I think intimidating, but when you look at it, it's not that intimidating. We go through those all the time at airports and Disney World, and that are a little more intricate than this one, but it certainly would be something that we need to do a little more PR on. The one thing that we don't know is, because I know there are a few schools that have submitted these to the state, and they're still waiting to see if these devices will be accepted for the use of the Smart Schools funding. One of the criteria is safety equipment, but we're just, now that schools are jumping on board this, I don't think they were prepared for this to come forward as one of the needs, and it is coming forward very strongly from many schools as a need, so we'll have to wait and see if they will accept this as an expense. If not, what's Plan B? So that's what we'll have to circle back to the board and talk about what could be Plan B.
So, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead.
Did you indicate how many per building? Or somebody estimated, or?
Joe, you had, as part of our initial, was it 4 at the high school?
Oh, there's, for a building like Baker, would need approximately like 6 to 8, depending on all their locations. 4 would cover Durkee comfortably initially, and then it goes down based on the number of entrances in all the other buildings. So we had estimated it was like 20.
Dr. DeBarbary, is that an increase in the number of entryways going up to?
It wouldn't be an increase of, but based on the locations, like all of the front entrance of the high school, the back parking lot, the old, what used to be the main entrance near the auditorium, near the, hate to even say the word smoker's path, as it's referred to, that goes out that back parking lot, but that's what everyone refers to it as. There would be enough to cover those locations. And certainly, as Dr. Davis mentioned and Kim, that if the price is reasonable, we can certainly purchase more to make sure that all of, again, we don't want to, because the balance with this is, if we move forward, is getting students efficiently into the building and not have that delay like some schools that have instituted the threat detection ESM. I think there was, earlier this school year, I believe, they had an issue, and they have systems now, but it takes time. And they're right now using, I think, 2 entrances where students are getting through. And we can't have a 30-minute arrival process. It would just be unrealistic. So certainly the more would make it easier for us to get kids in and out efficiently.
That was my next question. What thought has been put into arrival time, and would there be less entrances for students to enter through the building? And then, of course, you have to think about coverage, personnel covering it. But what would be like the cutoff time? Because there's so much, the buildings are open after school activities, extracurricular. would those still be during those times? Is that, or is it just strictly the school day hours?
I mean, those are conversations that we continue to have, but based on, that question came up with the committee for the Smart Schools bond process that we put in place, and the expectation is that for athletic events and all of that this would be the way that we do things if we move forward with this, because if we have students engaging in activities and community members, what's the difference between before or after school or during school hours? And that's why we have supervisors that we pay to be a part of athletic events, fine arts, performing arts, events in our schools.
Oh, right, I just want to make sure that I'm clarifying, but like after school hours, not a specific event, but for like practices, I mean, the buildings are open after school. And I know this is a conversation for much later, but I just want to make sure that we have the manpower, and what's the difference? I mean, is that something that's being looked into? That it's, that they're there almost 24/7 or whatever, whenever the building is open?
Yes.
I think right now, we have a lot of work to do in that area, so that's why these questions are, we should put them on a list, and we have to think through processes, because some of them will have impacts to the budget. So, is this a phase-in system where we do during the school day initially large events, and try to figure out what the costs are going to be moving forward? Although the systems are paid for, what's not paid for is the manpower after hours. We do have manpower during the school day, but not after.
What, was there any consideration maybe for, and if we can't get all the systems at once, to be like on a rotational pop-up? Like, you never know where these things, which doors these will be at, and might alleviate some manning issues if we don't have enough to cover every door, but you just kind of keep them moving so nobody really knows where they're going to be the next day. Has there been any consideration for that kind of approach?
That didn't come up in our meeting with the committee, but it's a good point, and the fact that these are more mobile than some of the larger devices, like for example, the threat detection system that ESM has, it's pretty much you're locked in. But something like this can be moved, so depending on the number that we're able to get if we move forward in the process, I mean, we certainly could look at that if we weren't able to outfit. But one of the things that was mentioned by those people on the committee, certainly I think people recognize, and if you look across the country, historically, where are there weapons being brought into schools, it's mostly at the secondary level, but there's certainly been incidences across the country where it happens in our primary schools. And so, somebody mentioned, well, I understand the priority might be trying to get the secondary buildings first, but what about the elementary schools? So that's a conversation that has to be had as we flush this all out.
Just to add, just for consideration, just thinking about student input, especially at the secondary level, we'd love to get some input from our secondary students to say, hey, this is coming in. That would be really appreciated.
And there were student representatives on the committee, so we did get feedback from them, and they certainly they were the ones, providing a lot of, important information for us. So, and I believe at the public hearing, you're going to see the presentation, you'll see the makeup. It was in board docs last time, just so that you have an understanding of what process we went through to get feedback from everybody.
Sounds like my question has been addressed. It was, looking at every time you increase access points to the school, you're increasing threats. So, and then you're balancing that between having the systems in place and having the monitoring of it and that. So that's all going to be a balancing act. And it sounds like you guys have that on your radar to address. So that was my only question.
The student that was on the committee brought up training assemblies for the students, and we talked a lot about communication to the staff, to the parents, to the community. It's not just gonna roll it out. There's gonna be a process in place. So there's a lot of discussion that was had and will continue to have with this.
Just, I think it's my last question. And if we're given the opportunity to see, like, well, Dr. Davis did, let's say something goes off, then what type of, I don't know, search, or what's the next step? The student comes aside, and then, because, I mean, people being searched at school is also an issue. I'm just wondering to what degree or how that would work.
So the students would be asked to come aside. They would take the book bag, go through the book bag, and then ask the student without the book bag to go back through. If it still goes off, then that becomes an issue for the principal. As we would do if we had reasonable suspicion for any student, we would ask them to, empty out, like you do at the airport, would you please empty out, any money or wallet that you have in your, and put it in this plastic bucket, just like the airport. And you ask them to go back around again, and hopefully it's clean.
Thank you.
Is that gonna go off if you move anything, Dr. DeBarberie?
I'm gonna try not to. We're good for the next?
Oh, yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
The second report we had listed there was the textbook adoption request first reading. This is for 11th grade AP American History. They went through a process. This is the book that we put in the prior weekly letters to the board. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them now, but they feel comfortable. They looked at I believe there were 7 total texts, and this was what the committee chose to move forward with. If there are no questions, and that'll appear at our next meeting for final approval. And then we have a trip request, first reading for boys outdoor track and field. This is to participate in the Penn relays in Philadelphia. I don't know if there was any specific questions about this. This is a great opportunity for students. It's considered a premier event, and we have students that would qualify, and we see this as a great opportunity for them to get some national recognition and
I was
access.
just gonna not have a question, but comment on that, because I participated in that through all my collegiate career for Wake Forest, and just seeing the high school kids have an opportunity to do this, it will be phenomenal. I mean, just to be in that stadium and just the anticipation of how they run it, getting ready to get to that starting line. But our students will have an opportunity to run in front of about 30 or 40,000 people. I mean, it is a huge event, and I'm really excited for them. They won't experience it. There's just nothing more exciting to a kid than hearing the roar of a stadium as you're running down the back stretch and coming off that last turn. And for high school kids to experience this, I'm super excited, because this group of kids who are going, they have done phenomenal the last 2 years building up that program to get to the level that they're at.
So that'll appear at our next meeting for final approval. And the last trip request is for the girls' crew. This is what would be considered their New York State Championships. We typically approve this every single year. If there's any questions regarding that. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're up to new business. Item A, resolve that the Board of Education approve the varsity football team to travel and participate in a non-league game versus Jamestown, August 31st through September 2nd, 2023 at Jamestown High School, Jamestown, New York, pursuant to the attached. Can I have a motion, please? Jeff first.
Second.
Second, Shelley. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Item B, resolve that the Board of Education approve the trip request for the girls' basketball team to travel and participate in the KSA events at Gaylord Palms Resort and Convention Center in Kissimmee, Florida, December 19th through the 23rd, 2023, pursuant to the attached. Can I have a motion, please? Denise first.
Second.
Second, Wayne. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Item C, resolved that the Board of Education approve the annual reorganizational meeting to be held during the first 15 days in July 2023. Can I have a motion, please? Jeff first. Second Tanya. Any questions or discussion? I just want to point out that that's scheduled for July 10th, 2023 for this year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Item D, resolved that the Board of Education approve the appointment of chairperson, machine technician, VDSS specialist, election inspectors, chief election inspectors, and assistant poll clerks for the Baldwinsville Central School District 2023-2024 budget vote and school board elections held on May 16, 2023 pursuant to attached. Can I have a motion, please? Jeff first, I think. Wayne, you second? Wayne second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 8-0. Item E, resolved that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent and/or designee to sign the attached contract to LaChase Construction Services LLC. Can I have a motion, please? Jeff first. Second Tony. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 8-0. Item F, resolved that the Board of Education approve the disposal of surplus equipment and instructional materials pursuant to attached. Can I have a motion, please? Shelley first. Second Denise. And any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 8-0. Thank you. We've moved on to the board roundtable. Does anyone have anything that they want to discuss tonight? Go ahead, Wayne. I think you were going to say something.
Mine isn't really, I guess, super board related, but I just wanted to let everyone know that last year's ex officio member, Kaylee Evans, she's a freshman at Cortland this year, and she was elected to be the representative for NIPER, I guess, next year. So I thought that was kind of cool and wanted to share with everybody else.
Great, thank you. Anything else? I just want to state, first of all, I meant to say this at the beginning of the meeting. I couldn't attend the last meeting due to a family situation. I want to thank Vice President Murray for filling in and running the meeting for me. During the break, I had an opportunity to listen to the meeting that I missed, and I just want to say thank the administration and the music department for putting together that amazing presentation. And I also want to thank my board colleagues who took the time to ask the well thought out and amazing questions, because I really feel like it really helped shape that presentation to give us a good vision and understanding as to what the district would like to do to stay with our mission and vision for the students. There were a few takeaways that I thought were really important. I just wanted to mention just to kind of encourage my board colleagues, especially moving forward. It seemed like the data piece was pretty important, and this is a great opportunity to kind of use this as a springboard to kind of circle back. So our job is to evaluate and make sure we're getting what we'd like to see out of these programs and new initiatives. So this could be helped to use next year or annually. How are we progressing as we're going through year to year as this initiative is unfolding and more students are getting opportunities to move up through the grades. I mentioned the academic return of investment session I went to at the NYSBA conference, and I noticed that the national school boards also had that. They had their workshop during our spring break down in Florida, and that was also another big presentation that was done, and we may be able to work going forward to have the fun piece and the achievement piece and see if we're doing well with it, whether there's other ways to do what we're doing. But I'm really excited. I think, when we do talk about initiatives and moving forward, it's important to make sure that I know everyone's working hard, but just making sure that we're doing the right work and we're getting our biggest bang for our buck for all of our students. And the other piece that really stood out to me as I was listening was the importance of asking questions. Because we asked those questions, that amazing presentation was prepared. And it brought me back to the Board Officers Academy that I attended back in the end of September, and how important, there was this slide, and I'm planning on sharing 3 of them, because our questions are what, why, how much, and how well. And I really feel throughout that whole slide presentation, those major questions were addressed. And when you talk about the superintendent and the board president, one of the diagrams were 6 pillars with some key pieces. And they asked the superintendents in the room, you know, out of all of those pillars, what do you consider the most important thing? And the superintendents actually said, ask questions, because asking questions actually addresses all of those other pillars and how vital that is. And I just want to encourage my board colleagues to keep doing that, because it's important in the work that we do, and it is our role and responsibility to do that. And I just want to say good job to the board and great job to the administration for that slide presentation, because I really enjoyed it sitting at home, hearing it after the fact. But I learned a lot through it as well, which is important. But I just want to put that out there. Anything else that anyone else would like to share during board roundtable?
So I think I just want to bring into the space, thinking about the type of loss this district has had over the past year. And that leads to sort of a conversation about social emotional support, not just only of staff, but more importantly of students. You know, we could, spend a lot of time praising how we respond in those situations, and I'm not really looking to do that. I'm really looking to bring into the space how we respond and continue to support students in light of, Ava's passing and the death of Marshall. So I want to just bring that into the space, because what is the long-term plan? Social emotional support for students, especially when you have topics such as bullying, harassment brought into spaces by individuals, whether on social media or in conversations we're having in the community. What are spaces like for our students and for staff and for all of us? We talk about safe and brave spaces, and I'm also thinking about psychological safety for all students. And in conversations with some parents and community members, it doesn't necessarily exist for them. So I bring that into the space because I know we're all determined and committed to ensuring all students' needs are being met. Just wanted to bring that into space, the important, not just of creating safe and brave spaces, but also psychologically safe spaces. So students can engage and talk about issues that impact them, and we are able to respond to them accordingly, so they're able to not only build skills, but also feel validated in sharing what they're going through, especially in those difficult years in school. So just wanted to put that out there.
I would thank you for bringing that out there. I think it's important to praise our response to those situations and these tragedies, but also hope that we can get to a place where they don't happen. You can't avoid everything, but there are some things that can. So thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that.
Does anyone else have anything else that they'd like to share tonight? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the employment of particular persons and for negotiations. Anyone can make a motion?
Move.
Oh, actually, I made a motion first, second, sorry. Tanya, are you seconding that?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that language to confuse everybody. Just wanted to end the meeting on a challenge tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. I'm going to take about 5 minutes or so, take care of some business, and we'll meet in the other room.